Once per year, I run the numbers to see what my savings rate is. I've been doing it for the past 4 years, and every year it's gone up. But I did not think that it would jump this much in 1 year. It went from 70% last year to 83% this year. And if things go as planned, then by the end of this year, it'll actually be higher than 83%, but I'll fill you in on how that's possible later in the video. Some things I've done differently, and others I've kind of kept the same. So in this video, I'm gonna go through a few of the many ways that I'm able to save and invest at least 83% of my income. My goal with this video is to give you ideas to take away and implement into your own life to help you achieve this type of savings rate. Not everything is gonna apply to you, but if you are able to use at least a few of these things, then I guarantee that you'll be able to achieve at least a 50% savings rate. Hey, I'm Jared with an A, and on this channel, we talk about all things personal finance, investing, and financial independence. The 83% is based on post-tax dollars because it doesn't make sense for me to count money that the government is gonna take anyways, so that they can, of course, waste it like they always do. Another thing, I don't really reveal exactly how much I make because A, I have coworkers that watch my videos, so I'm trying to avoid those awkward interactions, and B, I prefer to not paint a target on my back if I don't have to, so let's just pretend that I'm a pretty poor person. But I know that you will not be satisfied with that answer, so I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain without revealing the whole number and tell you that I save and invest at least $40,000 per year. But let's still pretend like I'm a poor person, okay? I should also mention that I am not married, so I don't have a wife to help increase my income and also increase my expenses as well. Cue the comments saying,
if you had a significant other like me, then there's no way that you'd be able to save this much of your income. He or she would spend so much money.
See, I beat you to it, even though it's probably not true. I'm just gonna get this one out of the way first so that people who wanna judge me can go ahead and get it over with and leave. I don't have children, which is one of the reasons that my savings rate is so high. From time to time, I do enjoy scrolling through the subreddit Child Free because it's kind of entertaining. But that doesn't mean that I completely dislike kids or are turned off to having them at any point in time in the future. I do want to own the fact that this does play a small part in why there's more money in my pocket at this point in time. But even if I had them, I'd still find ways to lower the cost of having a few little monsters running around. If you asked me 5 years ago, then I'd probably say that there is no way parents can save very much money if they have the added cost of food, shelter, and clothing for their offspring. But since then, I have met a ton of parents who have children and are still able to save and invest a ton of money. So this seems to me to be more of a limiting belief than anything. Moral of the story is that if you have kids, then find ways to cut back on your spending with them. And if you don't yet, then don't have them until you can actually afford them. As my grandpa always said to me when I was a little boy, Jared, you can't unpoop your pants. My housing situation is extremely affordable. To be honest, my house is probably bigger than I actually need, but there's a reason for that, which we'll talk about in just a minute. In a different life, I'd probably live in a tiny home, one of those makeshift container homes, or even trek across the country living in a van with my dog Molly. But I also want to be a Harlem Globetrotter that gets paid in candy, but we can't always get what we want. My manager at work would probably fire me on the spot for asking him to pay me in sour candy. My mortgage payment is less than 10%, so I could technically afford a mortgage that's triple what I pay now and still live pretty comfortably. But I've chosen to remove myself from the marketing scam that these big mortgage companies are running. Think about it, the only person that profits from selling you the American dream of owning a home are mortgage companies. Check out this insanity. Quicken Loans mentioned the 28% rule when you're purchasing a home. They suggest that the most you should spend on a monthly mortgage payment, not including taxes and insurance, is 28% of your gross income. Yes, I said gross, which makes me want to throw up. If we add in taxes and insurance, then that number can easily jump to 35% of your gross freaking income. Are they insane? Yes, they are, but no, they're not, because they're in the business of getting you to take out as big of a mortgage as possible because that lines their pocket even more. Homes are absolute money pits, and in most cases shouldn't be looked at as an investment because they're technically not. Unless you run the numbers beforehand and plan on flipping it for a profit or eventually renting it out for a profit, then it's not an investment. You're being scammed if someone tries to tell you that. So you should run away from those people extremely quickly if they tell you this. I'm not completely knocking home ownership at all because there's a time and a place for it. But what I am knocking is buying a home above your means because you've been sold the lie that it's an investment. What's considered to be above your means is completely up to you. But if your mortgage payment would stress you out if you lost 25% of your income tomorrow, then it's too high. Housing is where most people get it wrong, but the good news is that it's pretty easy to fix that problem. I have multiple streams of income that goes towards that 83% savings rate. I'd be lying if I said that making more money doesn't help with increasing your savings and investing rate, because it does. Keep in mind that even though someone makes more money, doesn't mean that they don't waste a ton of it, so multiple streams of income doesn't really matter if you're not keeping any of it. More about that in a minute though, so hang on. I've always had 2 jobs my whole life, so this has been something that seemed normal to me for as long as I can remember. At the peak of things, I had 3 jobs, technically 4 if you count the YouTube channel that I had created on a topic that has nothing to do with money. I was a freaking psycho back then. I mean, I still kind of am, but just in a different way. It was normal for me to work 80-hour weeks and pass out randomly in the middle of doing all kinds of things. Now, luckily, I was living with my sisters at that point in time, so they were able to actually document a lot of those events of me passing out in random positions in random places. A salaried income was something that I always had. Then, during my off hours, I had various jobs and side hustles where my income was directly tied to my performance. At this point in time, I have 2 main streams of income, and I'm actually about to add a third because work is kind of fun to me, so why not? I work in corporate America. I have this YouTube channel that you're watching me on right now, and I'm also in the process of launching a second YouTube channel as well. If I can get the second channel profitable by the end of the year, which I know that I can and it'll probably happen within a couple of months, then my savings rate will actually increase above 83%. If you haven't done it already, please do me a huge favor and Hulk smash that thumbs up button. I do plan on adding 2 more streams of income over the next couple of years. The first is through investing in real estate once I find a property. Now, the home that I'm living in right now will be turned into a rental property when I move out and into my next property, which I'll also turn into a rental property at some point in time in the future. Every couple of years, I'm going to be moving from house to house, leaving behind a physical asset that's earning me more and more money. I plan on doing this for as long as I possibly can, or until my future wife gets so super annoyed to me and forces me to stop doing this, and then I'll probably try to push it further a little bit more until she forces me again to stop doing this. Like I said before, homes are a freaking money pit. So instead of allowing my residents to hold back my wealth, I'm going to use it to my advantage. One day I'll move into a long-term home, but that day isn't going to be anytime soon. If you can start getting into the mindset of thinking about how you can build more and more streams of income, then your savings rate will skyrocket and your wealth will come along for the ride. Not to mention, if you only have 1 income, or 2 if you count your significant others, then you're playing a pretty risky game right now. All it takes is for one person to get laid off, or both of you, and you are screwed beyond belief. If you are still not convinced about the value of adding additional streams of income, then let me give you an idea of how valuable a second source can be. In 2 months, I earned over $40,000 from just my YouTube related income stream. And actually, I expect it to be much higher later this year, and definitely much higher by this time next year. The internet is your friend. Go do something on it that you enjoy and happen to get paid for in the process. Making my health a top priority has been a big reason that I've been able to increase my savings rate to 83%. I think this one is one of the most overlooked areas because the impact that it has isn't so obvious. The 3 areas that I focus on are nutrition, physical, and mental health. I like to call it the trifecta because when all 3 are locked in, you are absolutely unstoppable. Having the energy, mental clarity, and confidence all help you make better money choices, which in turn increases your savings and investing rate. Let me break it down for you real quick. In the nutrition area, I mainly do this by fasting and paying attention to the actual food that I'm putting into my mouth. As much as I love donuts and salt and vinegar chips, I have to say no to those things more often than I say yes. And to be honest with you, I am a fat kid at heart, so I've got to be very, very careful with the food that I allow myself to eat. When it comes to physical health, I work out on a regular basis. I actually built a garage gym years ago that I use 5 to 6 times per week. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll know that that is my favorite spot to publish stories before, during, and even after workouts. Every now and again, I share the workouts that I did for the day, but it's not a guarantee, so don't expect it if you follow me. I'm aware that not everyone can afford to build a garage gym because it can truly get pretty expensive. But spending money at a gym is an investment in and of itself if you think about it. And even doing bodyweight workouts around your house are a great way to stay physically healthy. If I'm being completely honest, I cheated a little bit with the garage gym that I built. One of my past side hustles was as a fitness trainer, so technically all of my clients paid for all of the equipment that I have. The outdoors is another part of my physical health, which is also free. I take at least 2 hikes or trail runs per week in the woods with my dog Molly. It's honestly probably my favorite way to kind of disconnect from technology and keep my physical health in shape as well. Mental health is one that not many people in the personal finance and investing space talk about, but for me, it's been a game changer. I've had to keep a very close eye on this within myself because if I'm not careful, I can see how it can easily get out of control and send everything else in a downward spiral. To be very open, I've had a lot of traumatic experiences happen in my life, from my mom being diagnosed and having to live with an incurable genetic disease, to losing my little brother at the age of 19 from an overdose, to my brother-in-law taking his own life earlier this year due to depression. I'm getting goosebumps talking about that. Whew. For me to pretend like these things don't affect me, whether I realize it or not, would be a pretty naive way to think. Some things that I do to keep it in check are meditation. I prefer the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. I do a lot of writing, a lot of thinking. I read a lot of philosophy, and I do some other things that I can't mention on this channel, but they're absolute game changers, and I wish I could talk about it, but I can't. Maybe in the future when they become more of an accepted means of therapy, then I'll share it. But for now, I can't. I've already gone through the process of paying off $82,000 in bad debt, and I refuse to do it ever again. Because of that, I don't take on debt, which means that I have way more money in my pocket that goes towards my savings and investing rate. Not carrying bad debt has afforded me a level of freedom that no one can even imagine unless you're in that position. It also gives me a sense of safety as well. I could technically go work at my local Dunkin' Donuts and afford my current lifestyle because I've removed my bad debt and have my expenses in check so that I don't spend more money than I have. Because spending money that you don't have is an extremely dumb thing to do if you think about it. And the only reason that I know it's stupid is because I've been there, done that, and I made it out on the other side. It's really not worth the time or energy. Instead of borrowing from your future self by taking on debt, you should decide to start forcing the you of today to pay for things that you want. Think about it though. When we take on debt today, we're basically throwing our future selves under the bus. It's kind of a selfish thing to do, especially because we don't know what kind of financial position that future person is going to be in. What we do know, though, is that whatever financial situation they're in, the us of today are going to make it even worse by borrowing money from them, and on top of that, making them pay even more through interest. Don't treat your future self like crap by taking on stupid debt because it's not fair to them. I have seen so many people who look rich on the surface because of their income, but they're not wealthy at all because they mindlessly spend it all. I've even seen this in myself as my income has grown, so I've had to be careful. The paychecks start to get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, so of course you ease up on worrying about how much is being spent in different areas. The next thing you know, you look at what you have to show for the money that you spent, and there's nothing to be proud of. Talk about an extremely awful feeling. It's important not to spend money that you do not have or have earmarked for saving and investing. All of that money needs to be off limits, so keep your grubby little fingers off of it. Taking out a car loan is one of the easiest ways to convince ourselves that it's okay to continually carry debt. Dude, if I don't have a car, then I can't work. And if I can't work, then I can't afford anything, so I need a car. Agreed, but how much car do you actually need? For the longest time, I bought into the thought of never being able to afford a car without taking out a loan for it. In my eyes, there was no way anyone had $20,000 in cash to dish out on a new car. In reality, I was kind of right, since the only way most people can afford those types of vehicles is by taking out a loan. You really have to change your thinking here. If you have $5,000 to put towards a car purchase, then you have enough money to buy a $5,000 car. Not enough to put $5,000 down on a car loan. Poor people say, I have $5,000 to put towards a $20,000 car. Wealthy people say, I have $5,000 to put towards a $5,000 car. Super wealthy people say, I have $5,000 to put towards a car. I'll buy a $2,000 car, then invest $3,000 so I can pay for my next car with the gains from that investment. And extremely wealthy people say, I'll just buy the whole darn dealership. I've set myself up to where I'm using the super wealthy strategy. I purchased a car last year with cash and used the rest of my car money left over to invest for my next car. At this point, I'm less than a year in, and the car fund, which I won't actually need for another 6+ years, is up to a balance of over $5,600. It continues to grow since every month I pretend that I still have a car payment. But instead of giving that money to a car loan company every month, I invest it instead. Spend less on your car even though you might be able to afford more. People don't judge you based on your car, and if they do, you shouldn't be friends with them anyways, and you shouldn't care about what they think. Watch these videos to your left next that I picked specifically for you. Please make sure to Hulk smash that thumbs up button as well, and check out the description for more resources and playlists to help you out with all of your personal finance and investing needs. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Adios.